Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Stranded Survivors Season 3. Thanks for joining us. My name is Matt. I'm one of your co-hosts.
My name is Jericho. I'm a co-host of the Stranded Survivors podcast. And today we have a very special guest yet again. We have LoadedCrysis. Loaded, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm really good. It's really cool to be here. As I've mentioned before, so it's quite a new thing for me to do. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's kind of, just dive right into the questions, again this week as we did last week. Who are you and what do you do? What's your job? Just who are you?
Who is that?
So, my name's Dom, which I think most people know me as. Some people call me Loaded, and I am a content creator, obviously mainly focusing on Ark. Been doing it for it's been a long time. I've been doing it since 2016.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it may have even been end of 2015. It's been a long time. But I still love it.
Great.
Look at you go.
But yeah, I think that's a little summary to begin with.
So, Dom, I'll just call you Dom because why not? Dom, what got you into YouTube/Ark in general?
So YouTube was actually way before the world of Ark for me. I had a family friend that used to actually create like Minecraft and Gary's mod videos back in 2010, I think it was. And I was like, "What's that? What are you doing? Like, what is this thing?" Like, and he was recording content and sort of explained to me. I think there was some World of Warcraft in there too. Yeah, I just found it so cool, the idea that, he said that he was building a following online, and I just wanted to do it straight away. And I mean, when I tell you the whole YouTube thing started with a pile of books and my old phone just staring at the screen. I think it was my old Xbox just trying to record. That's really where things began.
Okay.
But then as for Ark, I just remember I've always loved dinosaurs ever since a kid. And then I remember seeing in 2015 this new game, Ark Survival, launching, and I was like, wow, this is a game with dinosaurs, a survival game, my favorite, everything all put into one. I was like, I have to play this. But by the way, I couldn't until it launched on Xbox because my computer could not run that game.
Yep, I don't think anybody's good.
Yeah, it's always been a hassle to run on computer. Still
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah. So that's really where the journey began, where I sort of found out about Ark and where my love for YouTube began.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Inspired to do that and do that for a long time. Doing YouTube for that long. Well, my question is, did you do daily uploads back then also?
So yeah, because I was still like really young, I was doing kind of when I was in school. Okay. I had a lot of free time. Would I say that it took priority over school sometimes? Yes, it did. Yeah, no. So that sort of early freedom kind of gave me the opportunity to sort of do it every night when I got home from school. And yeah, that's really. I would say I was doing it daily, but at the beginning it was. I was just doing a series at the beginning. It was like episode 1. Then when they started doing constant updates is when and adding new dinos was when I started doing it a little bit more. So yeah, it started every other day and kind of just been consistent since then. It's a bit crazy when I think about it.
Man, daily uploads every day. I mean, how much, how many hours do you put into doing that every day?
So, it really depends what type of video that I'm doing. Like, if I'm doing a news video, it'll be a little bit shorter. I'm sort of looking to improve my sort of like production skills and like everything like that. I mean, massive fan of the way Raz does his stuff. Is really cool.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely love to sort of venture into doing that because I've always just been, that guy behind the screen, and things have never really changed. And just because that was my kind of retro way of doing things. Yeah, I think when it's a news video for me, it really depends on what I'm editing in. So it may take an hour or two. When it's an actual like when it's an actual like gameplay one, like a series or something, then it'll be like 2 to 3 to 4 hours, depending really on how much quality that goes into the series. So that's really it at the moment. But some videos, could be so different. If it's a crunch video, a straight up crunch video I'm just recording, then it could be 45 minutes.
That makes
that's fair.
sense. It's a labor of love, man. To get all those things like perfect, it's a real labor of love. You said something in there that really caught my ear, and that was brushing up on your production skills. A lot of people don't realize all the behind the scenes stuff that goes into, everything that you have to do to make something that is enjoyable content to like consume. So out of all these skills that you've had to learn, which one has been the most difficult for you to master?
Ooh, that's quite a good question. I like that. Yeah, I think as a whole with YouTube, if we're talking production, I'd have to say just editing in general is just learning my own. Like, I've never really done any, anything at school or any courses or anything like that. It was kind of just watching YouTube, learning different tips and tricks, and kind of just getting the editing side of things. I think we all started with putting clips together. That's how it all sort of began. But I think just making better edits on the production side of things, really cool. But I definitely think that's been the hardest. But yeah, there's a whole thing to YouTube where I feel like every day this website blows my mind with the changes and trying to get my head around things.
You were not wrong.
Yeah, man. YouTube and just editing in general is such a complex thing. Like, don't get me wrong. Right now, we only do audio, editing. So I cannot imagine, having to do these clips or, different things like that. Having to edit all of those is, in my opinion, going to be very time consuming. So, I feel like it'd be hard to stay focused.
Yeah, I think it really can, especially when I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but wow, over the years, the amount of times that a corrupted file has happened and I've forgotten to press the save button and I've lost like an hour or so of work or 2 hours of work, and it's like, yeah, it's always just even even from that you learn. Press the save button. The most simple thing to do. Press the save button.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, loads of learning curves like that, really. Especially when you're editing like large chunks of like gameplay and stuff. That's when it could be frustrating.
Yeah, I can totally imagine. Those large chunks of gameplay have to be tough to keep the continuity going, but also get good edits. I can imagine that right there is an art.
Yeah, and there's some amazing guys out there that do it. I mean, I think some may have editors, but some don't, and there's a lot of those 100 days guys out there that wow, they spend days on these projects, and it's unbelievable. I mean, it's something I'd love to look to do, but yeah, they do take a lot of time.
Oh yeah.
Well, with that, you said maybe something you'd love to do. Would you ever consider making a second channel, maybe either not about Ark or maybe just different than news? Like, have you ever thought about, branching out to different things?
Yeah, so it's a real weird one because I've sort of always loved doing news. I mean, the channel didn't start as news, but I think I just got sort of so excited when Wildcard started adding new dinos to Ark Survival Evolved. I was just like, I want to just talk about, and it's been such a thing for me that I've loved. But you do kind of get to points, when there's not as much news out there, and because there's not going to be an update every day, there's not going to be an update every week. So it's nice to work on different projects, and I think the 100-day ones would be such an awesome project to work on. As for like a second channel, there's bits of me that sort of is trying to work out. I definitely think it's the way to go. You see lots of creators doing it, and I think I've sort of tried different games on my channel. I mean, Power World was amazing for me this year. I love doing that. Helldivers was another game that I did for a little while this year. But yeah, do I think that there needs to be a second channel? Do I know the name? Don't know the name, but yes, there does need to be a second channel in the future, of course.
Okay.
Okay, you heard it first here, folks.
So, I don't know if people would want to know this or not, but do you also play Ark or do you just report news?
So yeah, no, I get this question a lot, so I would say it's very, very, especially being an art creator for so long. It's one of those things where you don't play the game every single day, and I think it for me it just like any other person. I think it's like one day I might have like a few of my friends and we will grind through all the maps and we'll be playing non-stop hours and hours on end. And then you just hit that point where you kind of just like a new game comes out or whatever, and you're just like you kind of lose that passion for playing.
Yep.
I don't feel like
Yeah.
I don't feel like you lose that passion from when I do news because it's I've always loved doing that. So are there points in my channel where I don't play and I'm still reporting news? Yeah, 100%. But unfortunately, Ark has this thing which I call the Ark bug, where you just you always come back, and you always I've always been addicted to that game, no matter how annoyed I get with it.
Yep.
Yep.
Ark and RuneScape are the two games that you never quit, you just take breaks.
Yep, and I think that's what Studio Wildcard have done so brilliantly. And no matter what happens with the game, everyone comes back.
Always. We've
Yeah.
always said that on this podcast too. Is just that, you never can actually get away from this game. You always come back. It's crazy.
Yeah, and no matter what happens, the silly things that are almost part of the game at this point, we just embrace it all. Like just the other night, talking to Jericho, while I was on mic with him, my level 140 character got deleted live when I activated a boss fight. So,
Yep.
Oof.
and I'm still ready to play. As soon as we get off this podcast, I'm ready to go play again. So, like, obviously, I didn't learn my lesson. The
Yeah,
arc bug is real.
yeah. And you know what? I feel your pain so much because there's been so much stuff that me and my tribes in the past have lost due to updates or due to whatever. And yeah, it does. And I see the comments as well. It's like, I've just lost this. I'm never playing again. And then straight back to it some point down the line.
Yep.
Never playing again until Tuesday.
So, with doing news or just the videos in general, what has been your favorite video you've ever done?
Ooh, good one.
That is a good one. That's such a hard question. I can't. It would. There's been so many years. I think for me, I love launches. So did you say including news videos or any
It can be
video?
any.
I would say that I mean definitely the when I think this has got to be the one when their ASE Survival Evolved servers shut down. It was actually a stream slash video, and it was me streaming like we did it was quite a few hours the stream and just standing there on a random official server and there were so many people. I think they ended up nearly making the server like completely full.
Wow.
And I just picked it random one day and we were all standing in one building and just like all jumping around waiting for the service to shut down. And I think even one of the devs, I think it was Skittle, one of the devs who came and actually joined the because he was like looking, why is this server so full? Like they're about to close down. And I think he obviously
What is
knew.
happening?
Yeah, I think he sort of knew what was going on, and then sort of came in, did some cool admin command kind of stuff on an official server when we were there, and then then the all the fireworks started going off, and then seeing those servers close down after all those years of content, and I'll never ever forget that stream. That was unreal.
That is unreal. That's one of those once in a lifetime opportunities that, looking back on 20 years from now, that's going to be a real fond memory, I bet.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I couldn't tell you what I'm going to be doing in 20 years' time. It's. I mean, I would hope there's something in there of content creation. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I love it, and still since the first day that I started the channel, it's something that I plan. But I feel like that will always be, yeah, as you said, a day that I look back on, and yeah, shared those memories of people actually on the live stream was amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I just remember like I didn't, per se like join any server or anything, but I just remember those servers shutting down and just how emotional and just the outpour on Twitter or whatever, social media people use, just seeing the outpour of love and stuff for that. People were just so sad to see it go, and it was just a great time for the community, sadly enough.
Yeah, sure, 100%. We've all had some amazing memories on the game. I mean, I've met people that have found their partners from the game, and I've met people that
Yep.
it's changed so many lives. It's that's why I think everyone's always got so much love for the game. So it's amazing.
Isn't it crazy how a silly little sandbox dinosaur game can bring so many people from so many different places on the planet so close together?
Yeah. Just I mean, I feel like it's a story that you want to ask everyone, isn't it? Where were you when you first found out about Ark, and did you think that Ark would have changed your life or been such a big part of your life? And I think just anyone, it's such an interesting question to ask.
Yeah, and anybody who gets asked that question, you immediately can't help but go down that rabbit hole of, oh, remember that one time I got very unhealthily addicted to the game and then this, that, and this happened? Like, I feel like all of us have one of those stories.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely. But it's yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I mean, I reckon I could sit and just listen to like everyone just talking about it. Just I think that'd actually be a cool video just to hear. I actually have a feeling. Do you guys know Neddy the Noodle?
Oh yeah,
Love Nettie.
Yeah, Neddy,
love him.
amazing content creator. I feel like he's done a video like that where he's sort of brought people on in the past so they could share their Ark stories. I'd have to dive back and see if I could find that, but yeah, I think it's such a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. It would be nice to sort of piece together the story of, how everybody got into it and hear the story of everybody's first boss battle. Like, you could make an entire series out of that, I feel like.
Definitely.
Since we mentioned Nettie really quick, we'll ask him that next week, just so everyone knows Nettie's going to be on the podcast next week. Just so you know.
Wow.
Let's go.
I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Neddy's journey is something I'd be really interested. We do speak, and yeah, he's such a cool guy, and his videos are top tier.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we're keeping it on, for you, I want to know, we talked about this technically a little bit. What is your overall favorite map? I'm going to say yes, you can include modded maps if you really want to. But yeah, just go ahead.
Again, yeah, very, very tough question because there's so many maps out there that, that you've had just great memories on. I think, as weirdly, I know we were having talks before, so it's not Aberration, but which I think you'll be glad that I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I'm happy about that.
Everyone can agree, I think.
So I actually ended up having kind of a bit of a love for Aberration in the end. It was when I first started playing it, I couldn't stand it. I ended up actually loving Aberration quite a lot in the end, which is a surprise. I don't know where it came from. But I think my all-time favorite, I guess if I do story maps and the community maps, for community maps, I would say Ragnarok. I think that map,
Yes.
even though it used to be called Lagnarok, because it had it had its problems. It's a map that I've always said this with my friends. Once you try out a new map and you've played it and finished it or whatever, everyone goes back. Well, from who I play with, always end up going back to Ragnarok. So I think that would go down as the all-time story maps. The island brings back some great memories, but I think, yeah, it would probably be between the island and Aberration for story maps. But I think overall Ragnarok.
That's a great choice.
Yeah, those are good choices. Ragnarok has always been one of my favorites as well. I understand it's got its, it's got its past with its lag and all that stuff, but the sheer beauty of it, oh my goodness, you can land pretty much anywhere in that map and take a look around and find an absolutely beautiful thing to look at.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that's why everyone's been calling for it in ASA, because just to be able to see, as you said, the beauty of it on the old game is just, that's why I'm so interested to see what it's going to look like in ASA, because there's so much they can do with it. Whether it's going to be made by a third party studio like the Center, I'm not too sure yet. I think that's what people are thinking, but overall, just really looking forward to seeing what it looks like. And it was meant to come out in September, but we have no clue.
So it goes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we might as well dive right into that topic.
Yep.
As I said, we are going to talk about it in the episode. Wildcard has told us multiple times, especially at the start of Ark Survival Ascended, hey, we're going to be a lot more better at communication and different things like that, right? And, as we've talked about, Dom, we've seen multiple ways that they've, for a couple weeks, a month, they're like on top of it, the best communication we've seen. We're all very excited. And then next thing you know, the next month, there's absolutely no communication, different things like that. Like, what's your opinion on that whole situation?
So yeah, I mean, I feel like with with sort of wildcard over the years, as you said, they the communication thing I think is very, very, very important for the art community, and I've always thought this because it's it's what brings a community together, and I feel like when a community doesn't have the communication it needs, it can go kind of wild, and there's all different types of rumors and stuff, and when people don't have communication on what's going on, as I said, it turns into a crazy place. And when ASA was launching, I was really looking forward to, like, one of the biggest things for the game was just going to be the improved communication. And that kind of didn't start very well. There was points where it was okay. When the console launch got delayed, they were kind of keeping us in the loop of things, and then they kind of went quiet again. Then I think people were sort of complaining. It was real kind of a big uproar, especially on Twitter, where they were like wildcard, you just not we don't know what's going on. And I think they put out a community crunch actually saying they were going to really improve on this over the months to come. And they did for a little while, but I definitely feel like as of the last couple of months, it's probably gone. I would say it's probably been the worst it's been for a long time as for communication. And it's a shame because I feel like they could really. As I said, I think it's such an important thing for any community in the gaming industry, So it's a shame.
It is completely a shame. I have to agree. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, though, and I'm assuming that they just don't have an update, maybe. And I don't know if maybe rather than say, hey, we have nothing to tell you, they just like assume no news is good news, maybe. Like, I'm not quite sure from a business standpoint what the thought process is, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe they're busy?
I know. I think what you said first is true. I guess, as you said, no news, good news. It's if there's like nothing to say, then there's nothing to say. But I think one of the biggest things I noticed when I was doing videos on Helldivers and Power World in early 2024 was when I was kind of diving into those communities. Really, I used to speak to some of the devs. What I loved about that was in Helldivers, but what I loved about their Discord especially was the fact that they had so many community managers kind of all involved with it, and there was kind of any questions that needed to be answered, it felt like there was more places to go to than there is for Ark. And I feel like it would really, really benefit the Ark team if they kind of focused. Just my personal opinion on this side, I feel like if they focused on that, I think it would probably stop how wild the Ark Discord can get sometimes. I'm not saying that's ever gonna stop, because it won't. But it could at least tame it slightly.
Yeah. I mean, metaphorically, the wildfires, the rumor mills and the wildfires of all that stuff, it'll quell that a little bit when they at least chill everybody out.
Yeah.
So, Dom, one of your recent videos posted was about the Ark Unreal Engine 5.4 upgrade. And what do you think we can look forward to for the 5.4 upgrade? Do you, I heard in your video you said potentially you think it could be delayed a little bit. What is just your thought about the whole 5.4 upgrade in general?
Yeah, so I was really excited to do this video today because it was like something I've been waiting to talk about for so long. And even though the kind of information we had from Dolly today was pretty not anything exciting with dates or anything, but I think kind of the vibe I got from it was which, by the way, it's completely just coming from someone that's been creating Ark news for such a long time, so it's not confirmed. But it's what does worry me sometimes is a post from earlier on is that the reason Fear evolved or Fear ascended. It's going to take some time to get used to saying. But the reason that's not delayed, but they decided to push it back to the 30th. Was because they have so much going on in the dev pipeline, they said. So they're really busy and they're trying to get so much out all at once. And with Extinction coming in December 16th, and they've obviously got the Bob's Tales Part 3 stuff on top of that, it kind of worries me to the point that the release window for the 5.4 is October 15th to November 15th. And I think it's such a crucial thing for the game. I think we really do need it. But I think when it comes to business kind of things and sales, I mean, I don't know. I don't work at Wildcard, but just from what I see from it, it does worry me that we may get a second. Not second delay, a third delay would it be on it? But
Oof.
Yeah, I mean that. By the way, anyone who's listening, don't worry, because it's still, as we're recording this, is October 15th to November 15th. But I'm just saying, just don't get too excited for it yet, just in case.
It's better to expect the worst and then either be pleasantly surprised or correct. So it's okay. You just gotta brace for it and grit your teeth, and it's all gonna work out one way or the other eventually.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like one of the things that I've always been love is like the love-hate relationship. It's like when there's a huge delay for Ark and it's like, wow, I was so looking forward to making so much new content on this, and then you gotta wait another month or two or whatever. When that day actually does come, the Ark community do come together, and it is an amazing day. So it is just kind of having that patience. And when if Wildcard give a ETA with a whole month as that ETA, between, I would just say, yeah, don't get excited. Just wait for their next update when they actually have a proper date.
Truth. And plus, I want everybody to also remember, from a psychological standpoint, we get mad over the delays in the updates because we're excited for the content. And it's like, a little kid being disappointed. You can't have candy right now. You got to eat dinner first. So we just got to eat our dinner and chill out. I just want everyone to remember that.
Yeah. Good point.
For sure. So, just kind of during the middle of the episode here, I just wanted to, again, I didn't really thank you at the beginning of the episode, but I appreciate you coming on and joining us. It is like 2 a.m. your time. You guys are crazy. You and Raz, 2 a.m. Don't know if I could do that myself, and I just want to let you know that I truly appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries at all. I feel like when it comes to, I think we talked a little bit earlier, it's like doing content creation full time. It's always about making sure that you can try and make sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure keeping to your own kind of routine. But I think when it's like important things, and for me this is an important thing, because I think, and like I said earlier, I think an art podcast is great for the community. I'll always make time for it.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, for real, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, a little, kind of off topic of Ark, anyways, just kind of about you. What is your favorite hobby?
Hoo-hoo.
Ooh. So is this bad just if I say gaming? Like just because
Hey,
that's that
The
is just
hustle is real.
it's just I mean I could say like like anyone really I guess, but like spending time with friends and family is what I love doing. And but like I think I've been playing games since I was like 3 years old. I think it's literally
yep.
been that young. Like it's kind of something I never think I will lose. Because there's nothing more that chills me out than if I've had a stressful day or whatever, and just hopping on and playing games. That's something I don't think will ever go away. Yeah, I would say that's always going to be my number one hobby. I do enjoy sports too. I watch a lot of football, but I would guess that you would say soccer, right?
Uh, yep.
European football? Yeah.
Yeah. I used to. My dad used to take me to a lot of the games when I was younger. So I have been sort of. Well, now I would call it. I take him to the games. But
Yep.
Yep.
yeah. So it's yeah. I do like my sports too, but gaming will always be number one.
I have two questions that are follow-up questions to that. First one, what's your favorite football club?
Okay, so I'm sure for anyone who watches this, I will get a lot of people winding me up, but I am a
Uh-oh.
huge Tottenham fan. Tottenham
Oh.
Hotspur.
Okay.
And we have not, obviously, we're kind of on this long trophy drought. I was 8 years old, I think, when I last saw us win a trophy. And it's like, something we've been to finals, we've been to everything, we've lost every single final, and
Oh no.
it's just been it's been a horrible experience. But one day it will happen, hopefully in my lifetime.
Hey, Lions fans can unite completely with that. That is a sentiment that I have heard my entire life growing up in Michigan from Detroit Lions fans.
Yeah, yeah,
But you know
it's
what? Your time's coming. Your time's coming. It's
Yeah.
a series of building years, is what everyone likes to say.
yeah. I feel like we've been in all different types of building years,
Yeah,
but
man. I've
this
I've heard of that team before, so if that makes you feel any better, I've heard of them.
okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, well, I think if I'm right, they actually the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has taken on the NFL. I think if I'm correct on that, I think sometimes some of the games are played over here, so sometimes there can be a bit of a link with America stuff from time to time. I think, which I think is pretty cool. The stadium's amazing, by the way. I think it was built and finished they finished building I think in 2018 or 2019. But yeah, it's a great experience going there.
I would like to see some crossover from European football come over to America. I understand there's like not nearly as big of a market, but with the NFL heading over there and seeing some popularity gaining in London, I would really like to see a couple of football clubs come make their way down to like New York or LA or something and put on a show for everybody.
Yeah, I mean when Messi came and joined into Miami,
Miami.
was a huge statement, I think. America, so that's really cool. And there's some great players over there now, even though they may be like coming sort of closer to the end of their career.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
that's the
still,
issue.
it's still, I mean, Messi is Messi.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Living
where they go
legend.
to retire.
Yeah.
Man, went down a rabbit hole there. Oh yeah, my second follow-up question. So, coming back to you talking about how gaming, your number one, your lifelong hobby here. For most gamers, there's like, the little light bulb click moment where for me it was when I beat Mike Tyson's Punch Out the first time as a really little kid. That rush of dopamine from doing something like that. That was the moment where it solidified in my brain, I am a gamer. What was that moment for you?
Don't mind. So like with that question, are you sort of saying when was the first realization for me? What was the moment that I was like, I'm a gamer? Is that kind of like you sort of the
Yeah.
question? I'd have to say, I think for me it would have been when I was really young playing Halo. I think,
Ah, yes.
yeah, I think Halo for me was just the game that just brought. Still, by the way, to this day, all my friends that I completed the campaign with on Legendary and all of that, we're still all the best of mates now, all still playing games. And I think that because that has such a big that made such a big statement in our lives when we were so young, I think, and we had so much fun with it. Even the custom games, the multiplayer, everything about it. I think from then on, we were all just we're gamers.
I love it. That's a great answer. That's what it's all about, man.
Course, 100%. And hopefully one day Halo may make a solid return. I've seen there's been some stuff going on there, but with Unreal Engine 5 and whatnot, but we'll see.
Yeah, I have faith for the next project that they got coming on. So I'm hoping that they're going to revitalize it all. It's going to get some attention, gain some popularity again, because it would be really nice to get a Halo squad going again.
Oh well, yeah. I don't think anything beats those days for me.
No. Man, you
Man.
got me thinking those lasso days.
It's
Halo 2, best one.
that your favorite? Wow, yeah.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
I think Halo 3 would be mine. I think Halo 2 was
What?
because I think that was the game I sort of grew up with. And
Oh.
I kind of had to go back and do the other Halos, if that makes sense. So
Yep.
I was still really, really young when Halo 2 came out. So with I kind of went back and played them, but like sort of Halo 3 was the first one where I hopped on and played the multiplayer with my friends, and that will always kind of be the biggest one for me. But wow, I think Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, unbelievable. I even loved Reach too.
Oh, Reach was so good, but the ending was so disappointing. Exodia in the chat, who's listening in the live stream, agrees with you that Halo Reach, he said it's not even close. That ending, though, man, I was I was probably, gosh, maybe 12 or 13 or something like that when that game came out. Maybe a little bit older. I don't know. I have no clue how old I was, but I was pretty young. And it was the first game I ever played where, spoiler alert, it came out a long time ago, but that last mission, man, it was baloney. And I tried so many times in so many different ways to survive it. And it made me so mad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what a game though. I think that was definitely the biggest sort of. Well, I'm not giving enough respect to Call of Duty when I talk about multiplayer because that again was something that
Oh, yeah.
a real big love for me growing up. But multiplayer games, Halo multiplayer, Call of Duty, but I think Halo will always win just because of the memories.
That's fair, yeah. See, I started gaming, like around the time gosh, I'm dating myself here, but we had dial-up when I was a kid and our internet sucked and I didn't do any online gaming until I was in high school. So everything was all campaign mode for me and single player games. And I grew up on Medal of Honor before Call of Duty, and those Medal of Honor campaigns, poetic.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, I still had bits of that myself. And it was. I mean, I remember the phone line used to ring in the house when we were a kid, and that used to take us all offline. When it was just like would be and yeah, at the early days before, yeah. I make my sound. We're all gonna be sounding really old here, but yeah, that when Wi-Fi all of a sudden came around, that was obviously a big, a big game changer, of course.
Yes, man, back in the 1900s when life was tough.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, back in the day, you know what I'm saying?
good, good times though.
Uh,
Good times.
well, it's just funny, to kind of relate, to our last episode a little bit with Raz. I'm just saying he also enjoyed Halo. Did all of the Ark players, or Ark content creators play a bunch of Halo? That's a question I think I gotta ask.
I mean, yeah, I have seen that kind of a lot of, as you said, I have seen that sort of. I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to use. That pattern of that most Arc players that I have spoke to were massive Halo players.
Yep.
I think obviously I think if you're more down the PlayStation line of things,
Yeah.
obviously not Halo, but a lot of I started Ark on the Xbox, so any tribe members or friends I've made over the years, it was all just Halo, Halo, Halo. So I think it was just a big statement game for everyone when they were so big and popular. And yeah, I think that's definitely a valid point. It'd be quite nice to see some response to this and see what people said about that question.
I agree. So, we're kind of talking about different video games at the moment. What are your top 5 favorite video games and why?
Okay. So I think because of this is a hard question, isn't it? This is a really hard one. I think it's because what takes the top spot is it all comes down to, as I said, like there's like nostalgia to things, there's memory,
Uh-huh.
the memories, but I think I have to put Ark at number one because it do I think it's the better game out of the games I've played? That's a tough question. Because it's had its problems. I think Ark as a whole, the idea of it being this sandbox, do whatever you want. It's got dinosaurs, and the way it's grown over the years to these mods and even the premium mod side of things, like it's crazy. It has actually come such a long way. But I think for a personal thing, what the game has done for me as a career wise now, I think that would go number one because of that. And I have had so much fun on the game over the years.
Mhm.
It's very close to what we were talking about to Halo. I think I would have put Halo at number one, but it's so hard to do that when obviously Ark just holds such a
Yeah.
close place to my
Yeah.
heart. So I would say it'd have to go Ark and then Halo. At number three, I would probably go for. I would probably go for this. Yeah, this the thing is, you have so many you've played over the years, and like sort of on the spot thinking. I mean, I think World of Warcraft was a big game for me. I played that game for hours and hours and hours. And I used to watch all of the top streamers playing that. But there's no, I'm changing it. That's gonna go number 4. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Number 3 is gonna have to be Red Dead Redemption 2.
Ah,
Ooh,
okay.
great choice.
Oh yeah, that game. I think after I completed that game, I think that was one of the games that actually made me so emotional, so emotional towards the end. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who I know
Yep.
that it's been out for such a long time, but that ending was just something else. And
Yep.
even the first one was great too. But I just think Red Dead Redemption 2 was an unbelievable game, unbelievable. So that would take the third spot.
Amazing storytelling. The writers did such a phenomenal job with Red Dead 2.
Wow, yeah. I'll never forget that. I think that again is a game that I just look forward to sort of seeing what they do with the game in the future. The only thing I did think is the online. I still had so much fun on the online, but it never got the love that I think GTA Online got.
Oh, that's completely accurate.
Yeah, and I feel like there was a lot of potential there to make the online really good. But again, I guess it comes down to where the money's made.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, so I think then it would probably go World of Warcraft because of just growing up playing that, and I would just be able to spend hours on it. And at number 5, would be it's between Hearthstone and GTA for me, but I think GTA have to go there. I don't know what GTA. I think 4 was really good. 3 was also really good. But I think I'll give it to 5. GTA 5 in number 5.
That's
So are
fair.
you looking forward to the newest one then?
Oh yes, yeah. No, I've got plans for content for that too.
Okay.
So there's a little LoadedCrysis hint. Well, no, not hint. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? There.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. That's it. Yeah, yeah. Loaded Crisis spoiler for the future is I am really planning to dive into some GTA 6 content. I think I hope it's as good as we're expecting it to be.
Hey,
Yes.
I'm just throwing it out there. I plan on going hard on it, and if you need a heist mate or somebody for missions, just let me know, and I got you.
100%. Yeah, that would be great. It would. Yeah, that I feel like we're all just ready. I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be available on day one. Whether they're going to go down the same route of it only being the campaign to start off with, or whether they're going to dive straight in with campaign and multiplayer.
I'm expecting both. For some reason, I think that the wait's going to be worth it, and I think they're going to get us both right off the bat. But to be honest with you, it really doesn't matter. They could give us one or the other, and it doesn't matter which one. I feel like everyone's going to eat it up and be very happy one way or the other.
I agree, 100%. Yeah. I feel like we kind of don't know the release date. I think we kind of know it's some point at the end of 2025 at the moment. I think, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had thought it was this month, but obviously I'm wrong.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, for some reason I had in my head it was like the 27th of October, but that might be Call of Duty.
Yeah. Again, that's You know what? I'm actually a bit upset that I didn't add in Call of Duty into my top 5 list. This is the thing. I feel like that question. I would have to to get my perfect list. I would have to really, really put some time into that because there were some great Call of Duties back in the day.
Yeah. I agree, man. I don't know what your opinion is on this. And I actually think Matt and I talked about this one day. Advanced Warfare. I'm just saying people hated it, but I loved it.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I can't agree with you on that one. But
Banned.
But I see that all the time, and I always see people saying online just how that was like so overhated, and I kind of wish I gave it more of a chance. I think for me, I got to that kind of grudge stage where I was like, oh, I'm so bored of this. I like old school Call of Duty, and I do feel like that falling into that category sometimes can mean you miss out on a game that was actually really good. Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear that for sure because I know that game everyone looks back on and has. I think that for me was probably Call of Duty Ghost, which some people hated, but I personally really liked.
Yeah.
I hated the gameplay style of Ghosts. Like the knifing mechanic was painful to me, but the maps were good. I liked the maps.
Yeah, I agree.
I loved Ghost, man.
Did you?
Yeah, I loved it, man. I mean, it's just fun to run around, but one of the thermal snipers because everyone ran smoke grenades and you just shoot them through the smoke and it was the best thing ever.
Okay, that's fair. See, look, you're looking at it from like a multiplayer perspective. I'm thinking campaign-wise, and Finest Hour and Big Red 1 had some of the best cinematic campaigns that I've played. Those are some of the really old ones, though.
Yeah, I don't play campaign.
Nerd!
Yep. But Dom, you mentioned, for say I can't exactly remember the same thing, but do you think, with you doing YouTube full time or content full time, do you think that just gives you more time for say chill, or do you think you're actually just more stressed out waiting for news?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I haven't always done it full time. It was kind of just a decision that I made at the end of. So I used to do it full time when I was younger, before I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I knew it was always going to be in gaming, whatever I did in life. But I actually took the official proper step at the end, just before the launch of ASA, which I think was quite a scary thing to do because I had no idea how ASA was actually going to do as a game.
Yeah.
But for sure, yeah, there's some real stressful moments. There's as you know, with the delays and all of that kind of stuff. And when there's, when it's a quiet month, lack of news, it's like, what kind of content do I want to make this month? And I'm one of those people that I do like having chill time, but then I also love being busy because it's just and when you're busy on YouTube and it's like a big content month, new maps launching, or something, it's some of the best times. But as for like when it's a quiet month, yeah, it can be really kind of frustrating. I wouldn't always say boring, because Ark, I think it's hard to call boring because there's always something that happens at some point of the
Always.
week, and I love talking about things and that's why I apologize on this podcast if I talk too much, because I can just go, I can get a topic and I can just ramble, which is something in the comment section people can get quite frustrated with me, but it's something I'm working on. But I just love talking about any situations, so that's why I think that helps in the quieter months with Ark.
Hey, that may be frustrating to some people on YouTube, but that is literally the definition of podcasting. So killing it.
I'm glad.
So I also want to know, the Halloween or Fear Ascended coming out soon. What has been or what is your favorite Ark event or holiday?
Oh, yes.
Fear evolved.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. I do have a bit. It's it's close. It's very close with Winter Wonderland. Because
Yep.
I love
Yeah.
Christmas. Obviously it still gives me that warm feeling, now, and I feel like that's something I've always related when Ark released Winter Wonderland, just chilling out, playing Ark around Christmas time. A lot of my friends as well get their time off work, and that was even when I was working at my old job, was just that time off to just play Winter Wonderland, chill on a server, and so that has that kind of love for me. But I think with the amount of content that Fear Evolved Ascended, we're gonna have to somehow all get used to saying that. We will do over the years, I think, with ASA. Which is actually making me think of another question, which is related to Ark 2, but I don't know if I want to go down that. Like, what's it going to be called if Ark 2 ever comes? Like, what's even going to happen with that game? Why am I diving into that? But yeah, Ark Fear Ascended Fear Evolved. I love how much they're adding in, and what I am very excited about is, which I managed to report on recently, is by the way, it's now been deleted. I don't know if Dolly was meant to say it. I think it was a response. Yeah, it was a response to GP, another great Ark YouTuber in the community. She said that there's going to be that next another big thing we've never seen before. And with Winter Wonderland last year, we had the Krampus edition. So I don't know whether it will be like a character. I don't know whether it will be a new dino, like a Dodo Rex type thing, or whether it might be something I've speculated in my videos. Some sort of like kind of vampire power or whatever there is. I'm really looking forward to finding out, and hopefully it'll be this Friday in the new crunch. But we'll see.
We will see for sure.
Good answers, though. My brain's just going now. I'm trying to sit here and think about what it could be that we've never seen before. It's very cryptic, but also like very telling, I feel like.
Yeah. It could. There was a few things they promised in the past. So something that I do feel like Studio Wildcard have done is they've had like a scrapped asset or scrapped plan. They have actually gone back to, which is to get kind of all different types of like powers of different or vampire type stuff. I mean, obviously that's been like there's been lots of stuff like that added into Ark, as the sense of there's been lots of mods and stuff and cool things. But it would be cool to see if it isn't a new creature that we haven't seen before. It would be cool if they sort of dive into maybe a new ability that you can have. Like I thought when Fjorda came out and they brought out the hammer, I thought that was a really cool addition to the game. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Definitely.
Yeah, all I gotta say, man, from the bottom of my heart, if it's anything like a love bug, I'm not playing.
What's the beef with the love bug?
Those things were terrible, man. Are you serious?
I mean, they're terrible, but I wanted a specific beef.
Yeah, they're terrible. That's just specific beef. If I was to get attacked and, spat at or whatever that thing did, I'm gone, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope it's a fun edition and nothing.
Yes.
Nothing that's gonna be frustrating. Like, do you guys remember the early zombie dodos in the early days of Ark.
Uh,
Wow, that was unplayable when that first came out.
Yes.
It just kept. It was like having a bunch of gigas running around. Like it was just it's crazy.
it was awful at first.
Oh my gosh.
The amount of times that I so confidently got destroyed by one.
Oh yeah, and I think when I think they did. I think it was the last ever because we didn't have a Fear Evolved or Fear Ascended last year. And I think it was the last Fear Evolved of ASE was they had obviously the zombie dodos, and they let us know that they weren't going to be as crazy as they were back in the day.
I promise, it's worth fighting.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna save, the biggest question for end, not right now. I got a couple more questions, but the biggest question at the end is gonna be, what's your opinion on Arc 2? You said, oh, do we want to go down that? We are gonna go down that at the end, right? But the couple questions I have before then is PvP or PvE, man? What's your preference?
So yeah, that's I mean, I've had so many people say in the comments like this guy plays only PvE, like he doesn't know, but I've always loved PvE, PvP games. Like I love being able to I just always love the thrill of PvP. And in my early days of content and in my early days of Ark, I always played PvP. But I think as I got older, more responsibilities, and more just not being able to have time to be able to check my base at times where I should be asleep. It was just it just wasn't good, even maybe even health wise, because it was like and there were some fun days, but as things have been for the last couple of years. Yes, I have been a PvE, and I it's a hard one to say which I prefer because I've always loved combat and player versus player, but I think as the way things are now, I enjoy PvE. I have servers that launched recently that mainly all PvE because I think people just like hopping on, making friends, chilling out, showing people what they've built. Showing people what new dino they've got, and that's kind of the side of things that I loved about it because it becomes more of like a family thing rather than hopping on and just seeing that you've lost all of your progress that you've made. I think that kind of side of things, like I was like, right, we're gonna give up on that for now. But yeah, I mean, I always love I loved survival of the fittest when that came out. Unfortunately, that is completely dead in the water, which is a shame.
Yeah.
I remember last year, they said that they were going to try and make it the biggest thing it's ever been, and it's finally going to get the love it deserved. And it never got any real promo or and it was a shame because I love playing that game. I thought it was one of my most, I would say, favorite kind of battle royale. I mean, it was so unique, and the things you could do with it compared to the other ones, it really did have potential to be something massive, but. Unfortunately, when you don't give it enough promo, it can never really get out there. But also, I think a lot of people play Ark for what Ark is, which is survival.
Yeah, and see, survival of the fittest, kind of what we've talked about before is, it came out a lot before a lot of these battle royale type of games. And like you said, I think if it was done correctly and, the amount of promotion, different things like that, I think it could have been the biggest battle royale game.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah. I've had these same conversations with people as well. It's like if they had really, it does make you think, doesn't it? Like, what if they had gone ahead and really pushed that in the early days? Like, where would Ark be as a brand, as a game? As what would it be like now? Like, it's interesting. I mean, I would hate to think the fact that it wouldn't still have what we love Ark for there. I would hope that would still be something popular, but for sure, I think I do think Wildcard missed out on a huge thing. We saw what happened with Fortnite in the end, and we saw what happened with you know, PUBG, you know, just
Yeah.
so they went crazy, and I still believe that Ark Survival of the Fittest was so unique to them that it had its place. But that ship sailed. That ship has sailed now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it really has. And to what you were saying earlier, like, there's always the risk of, if they had invested more time and money into survival of the fittest, would it have taken away from the rest of the game? And, that's a fun little question. I really think at the end of the day, though, that it really would have driven people towards the main game. You can play the Battle Royale version so many times, and then after a while, you're like, oh, dang, well, I want to investigate the Redwoods some more. Let's go load up into a server. And I think that's how we would have snagged a whole lot more players.
Yeah, I completely agree. One sort of final point I thought, which I still kind of can't believe that Wildcard didn't do, and I still feel shocked that this wasn't the case, and it's still not the case. Is the fact that they didn't make Survival of the Fittest for ASA that separate free game mode that you could download like they did with the past one. It's like, that could have really been not only another big revenue sort of place for Studio Wildcard, because it could have been a separate game that you can download off Steam for free like before, and it could have just had its whole completely sort of different world from the main sort of Ark. And because it's free to play, so many games once human have shown that, that when you make a game free to play, why not give it a try, and
Yeah.
keeping Survival of the Fittest behind, the paywall of ASA itself, or ASA. It's just, it's a real shame, because I feel like not everyone decided to buy ASA, and I still get comments now saying, is it worth buying? I'm still playing Evolve, and it's just such a shame, because I think that kind of was what killed Survival of the Fittest in the end. It never really had its chance to, to try. Everyone will give something a try when it's free, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep.
So that's something. If Studio Wildcard ever decide to listen to this, I say make it free and give it some promo.
Boom. You heard it here first, Wildcard.
Well, talking a little bit about promotion at this point, right? Like how you promote things, different things. Why do you not post any YouTube shorts?
Good question. It's I kind of, in the early sort of days of when shorts were around, I kind of sort of was doing little bits with it, but I love long form content, right? And I am missing out on a huge opportunity to gain lots of new subscribers, and it is still something on my list. Is because I've been trying to expand. Well, I say I've been trying to expand to TikTok. I've done about 4 TikToks.
Hey.
It's yeah, it's something I'm still sort of getting a hang of it. But as I kind of get into that more, which is a huge plan for the end of this year, it's I'm sort of planning around the Extinction launch to dive more into the TikTok side of things. That's when I think the shorts will then kind of get a bit more life into the channel, because I do think it's very important, especially as people love short form content. But I think I get a little bit in my old school ways where I'm just like, this is how I've done it, and I love it this way. And I feel like because I with my long form content, I just love how I can just speak to anyone in the comment section, and you still can with shorts, but I feel like it's been what I've loved, but it's coming.
Okay. I was going to say, I mean, this is kind of maybe lame per se, but you really could just take parts of your long form videos you do now and just put them into shorts, correct?
Yeah, for sure. And that is what I have done with the ones that are on the channel.
Okay.
And funny enough, I did an Ark 2 one. Well, back when we thought Ark 2 was coming next, that's what we were told.
Yep.
I did actually do one, and it popped up on my I can't remember where it popped up. It popped up somewhere recently, and it had like 19,000 views. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know this was happening, because obviously, yeah, I'm not massive on the shorts yet.
Yep.
But you know, as we've talked about, Raz before, Raz Clark, he smashes the shorts out, and he's proven that, you know, it's great. You can gain lots of subscribers from it. You can gain lots of traction from it, and yeah, it's cool to see. And it is something that I will be jumping into more often because there's such a huge future in it. I actually went to my first ever YouTube event last Tuesday, and
Okay.
it was a really amazing experience. But I met a lot of guys there that do just only shorts, and they are doing unbelievable. So for sure, it's something that I need to do more often, and it will happen.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, I look forward to that.
Thank you. Maybe even you can give me some tips because I did notice. Did you post one earlier today?
I did.
Something.
I posted some the last 2 days.
Oh yeah, no. Definitely would love to talk about that more. Because I would say that even though I study the platform more than anything, shorts I'm still pretty new to.
Yeah, definitely. We can definitely have that conversation. But you know, I am ready for the last question unless Matt has something.
No, I am not going to lie to you. I've been thinking about Arc 2 this entire time, and I'm just waiting on that discussion. So whenever we're ready for that, I'm stoked.
Well, let's dive right into it here. As at least my last question of here is Arc 2 coming out, Dom?
So, um, I think Arc 2 will come out.
Yep.
I think it's where do I think it's gonna, you know, follow its current ETA being this year? Somehow no. Because I feel like to me, with the what we found out from Snail Games recently, saying that kind of the performance of ASA kind of is they're using the performance of ASA to find out where the right release window will be for Arc 2. So there's never really been anywhere there that they've said this isn't happening. There's in kind of all of the interviews or anything they've talked about, it's still what they're allowed to say, it's still talked about that it's coming. And I do believe that because there is so much hype behind Arc 2, I think one, it would be huge for them as a company, for the community, it would be huge. And I think everyone's pretty excited to see Arc in a whole new world. Obviously, Vin Diesel being someone who's involved in it, which is amazing. So I do believe it will come. But I do think the next thing we hear about Arc 2 will be, unfortunately, I can't even tell you now what delay we're on now. I think it may be delay number 5, maybe delay number 6. I couldn't tell you, but I can't see it. It would be an amazing surprise if out of nowhere that they did that. But I think there's too much going on with ASA right now to for them to release it this year. So Jeremy, the co-founder, did kind of hint that we would hear something this year, so we'll see.
I
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I, am like I'm hoping it comes out. The only thing I'm nervous about is something I've seen, and I think I'm correct on this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is this is a single player game and not a multiplayer game? Is that correct?
No. So I think it's still gonna have its multiplayer side to it.
Okay.
So they're still planning of having that. They have mentioned that it is going to have more of a kind of storyline to it, which is maybe where you saw that kind of information. So it's still gonna be Ark, but it's gonna be Ark in their kind of, third person, what, like I said, Souls like combat,
Hmm.
which is very interesting to see. I don't know if you guys are fans of kind of Souls like combat kind of games. I don't know if you dived into any of them, but it's I think it's really interesting, and I do think, as much as people do say focus on ASA, because I do agree we need to get ASA into a better point with, like we talked about earlier, the Unreal Engine upgrades, and for sure, I think a lot of the community they're not even with us, what in the ASA side of things, are still looking forward to what Arc 2 is going to be and how it's going to be different.
Yeah.
I have said it before and I will say it again. ASA is really just the training grounds for Arc 2. Like the game is great. I love it. The premise is fantastic. ASA is great. We're doing great with it. But in all reality, this is where they're going to test out those upgrades. They're going to break out the kinks for Unreal Engine. They're going to make sure that their map development's good. They're going to make sure everything is great, bide their time. I really don't think that we're going to see Arc 2 until August of 2025 is my prediction. I'm not going to lie to you. And I don't mean that in like a Wildcard's not going to deliver and they're going to delay it forever, blah, blah, blah. I just mean it in like a, think about it in the grand scheme of when they're going to release these ASA maps. They're putting a lot of time, effort, money, and manpower into them. And I just really don't see Arc 2 dropping with them still having such big investments tied up into this project still.
Yeah, I don't think you could have said it any better, really. I think it is, as you said, like that kind of testing ground to see how it's gonna fare with Arc 2. I think I didn't think there was anything wrong with what they did with ASA being a thing, because it's cool to have an upgraded version of Arc. Because
Absolutely.
I feel like there's always going to be people that are going to try out Arc 2, right, and they're not going to enjoy it, and they're going to want to have their old school, what they know and love. And I think that's very, very important. I know there'd been some changes the community weren't too happy about, with ASA was kind of meant to be that free upgrade to evolve, and the changes with that was pretty big, and still can't work out whether what they done was the right thing, but I think it was maybe the only way, because they were building on to, if they were to keep upgrading evolved, they would be building on to old code from bits they've said to us. So it's a bit of a touchy subject, I know, for a lot of the community, but I just hope that even when Arc 2 does eventually come out in the future, that one, they've got to be careful, because GTA 6 is coming out sometime soon too, because I think that's obviously a huge launch that I'm guessing they got their eyes on. But two, I just hope they still keep giving love to ASA, because as we said, it's what everyone grew up on. That sort of the way we play Ark. Putting a stop to that, I think, would be the worst thing possible for Ark. So if they're giving love to ASA and Ark 2 comes out, I think we could be in a good place.
Definitely. That is one of my biggest fears, though, is that as soon as Arc 2 comes out, that ASA is going to be the forgotten child that is sort of brushed under the rug and pushed back into the closet. And I worry about that. And I think that Wildcard will do a good job managing it. And I think they're going to get it into a spot where it's going to be, pretty self-manageable and self-reliant. But I hope that they continue to follow through on those quality of life upgrades, at least,
Yeah, 100%. And let's hope that doesn't happen, right? It's we've seen since different maps have come out, the player count has started to grow slightly on ASA. I think after the center, it was looking pretty poor. But since Aberration launched, definitely people who enjoyed that map came back for it, and I see the same happening for Extinction. I see the same happening for Gen 1 and Gen 2. And for something which I can't, because I don't work for Wildcard, so I can't confirm it, but I still do have this massive feeling that at the extra live stream November 2nd, they will announce to us. I do believe they will announce to us the next paid DLC for after Gen 2, but we will see. Only time can tell on that one. I don't want to get too excited about it, because it's not confirmed, but they've talked about it in the past, and I think it would be awesome to see.
Absolutely. Have to agree.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just ready to see how things work out. And but kind of on the note of, Vin Diesel being around, you know, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but I want to get your opinion in on it. Is, with Vin Diesel coming around, people are saying there might be a movie, different things like that. And we've seen a lot of things lately that, movies like, especially like Fallout, The Last of Us, different things like that have done very well. Do you think that there's a potential for an Ark movie or like an Ark show?
Yeah. Funny enough, I came across a interview. I actually reacted to it on my channel about a month ago. And it was an interview with a guy called the Movie Dweeb who managed to interview Vin Diesel. Funny enough, we've actually become fairly good internet friends recently. Because I was just so intrigued at the way he's done his content and everything like that. But he was interviewing Vin, and he was seemed very sort of adamant that things are going on in the background. It was last year, I think this interview was,
Hmm.
talking about how they're bringing Ark to the big screen. And we've also been told in the past that they are looking at doing around, I think it was 3 movies, which is just
What?
yeah, crazy stuff. It's there's so many. The strange thing with Ark is you can find out all these little bits from all different. I think it was LinkedIn, the LinkedIn biz
What?
that this was found out from one of
What?
the top guys, yeah, at Ark. And in an interview, it was said that they're looking at doing around 3 movies for Ark in the future, and this won't be animated like the animated shows. So I think that's something that I think it could be great. It really, really depends on obviously Vin's planning on starring on it, and can they get the storyline? Can they get a good storyline? And is it gonna be a great made movie? Like if you know where I'm coming from, is it gonna be a
Hmm.
cheap movie, or is it gonna be a that's something cool? But I think everyone in the community would probably agree that it would be amazing to see an Ark film in all its
Oh
glory with Vin
yeah.
Diesel.
It sure would be. The to what you were saying though, like if they're gonna do it, the timeline is gonna be important. I think that the cop out would be to do a timeline before or after. Probably after would make the most sense. To try to avoid any of the continuity errors that could happen. But if they are gonna do it, word for word based on the lore, then they really gotta pay attention to that stuff. Because the community, I mean, I'm a lore nerd, so I know other community members probably are way more than I am, and I've seen Nettie's lore video probably like 5 or 6 times, and I'd be pretty bummed out if they did not stick true to it.
Yeah, and I think even Wildcard, sort of paying attention to content creators' videos like that themselves is such a important thing for devs to do, because it's the players that know it sometimes better than the developers, right? Because they're so, as you said, like there's so many lore nerds. That's a new one. Lore nerds out there. And yeah, and I feel like that's something that I think is really, really important that the devs do, because as you said, like if they need to get it spot on, and if there's a few things that are missing in there, then I guess that's okay. But really, I think a lot of I think it was, I don't know if you guys are fans of Star Wars, um, but I remember watching Hayden Christensen, who's obviously Anakin, talk about how he went back to watch the sort of old films that he played in, and even sort of watched a lot of YouTubers and whatnot, and said he wanted to make sure that he came into the role perfectly for Obi-Wan. And I feel like it's important for when these Arc films come out, whenever that's going to be, that they get it spot on.
Absolutely. Man, I'm excited though. Those I'm gonna eat those up. Absolutely gonna eat them up.
Yeah, and I think we've got, I think somewhere, even though it doesn't seem like it sometimes, I do think we have a very long future ahead with the whole Arc franchise. and I hope we start to see more of that very soon, because the end of the year is always exciting. We got big things coming up. I love the Game Awards. The Game Awards is always amazing. I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
guys too. And I think Extra Life, as we're saying, coming up
Yep.
very soon, is going to be very interesting to find out. So I just hope that, you know, it, as we said right at the start of the podcast, I really hope that 2025 will be a big year for Ark. Because remember, we've got Subnautica 2 is another big one coming out. When I saw that announced, I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that looks cool. Especially with the potential multiplayer edition.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Subnautica is going to be, I think, a crazy game.
Yeah,
Man, that is one of I have an extreme fear of water and the ocean, and that game is quite possibly one of the scariest games I have ever played in my entire life. I cannot wait for the second one.
for sure. Yeah, I think I don't think we've not got an official date for that, have we? It's kind of 2025, but there
Hmm.
seems to be so many big games coming out next year. So I think Ark have a big task on their hand as well. You know, they're such a big name, but there's so much coming out next year. But what a great time to be a gamer, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I mean, we asked that question last week. I think it is a great time to be a gamer. Um, and something that I quickly want to hit on here, as asked by Graham, is do you think the animated series for Ark is released on Paramount, which had its own struggles, blah blah blah. We won't get too much into that. Do you think that did they sign a deal with Paramount that you think they are now required to put the movies on Paramount? Or like how do you think there's going to be a different streaming service, box office? Like what do you think?
So I don't actually know about what the deal will be with the films, but I think, from my personal opinion, things that we've kind of heard from Vin Diesel, things that I can't remember his official role at Wildcard. I'd have to look back at I don't know if you guys remember what it was, but it's
Nope.
there's actually
No.
his official title in an old crunch somewhere. But I think for me, I think it could be kind of a box office thing. I guess it depends. I guess it depends on who they decide to work with. I don't think they'll go down the same route with the Paramount stuff. It depends
Mm,
on the budget, right? And
Yes.
but I don't think for such a big project like that it will be locked into anything like that. And I mean, on the big screen, who could say no?
yeah.
And plus, I think that if we do see it locked into Paramount or something like that, I think that's going to be really indicative to the quality that we're going to get. You're going to get a much lower budget, lower quality film if it's going to be released, straight to Netflix or something like that, as opposed to if it's going to the box office and they're trying to bring in the big bucks.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think I'm really excited for everything Studio Wildcard's doing. One thing I do want to make sure the is that not only is the film going to be amazing, but I do hope that, as much as they're looking down to move into all of these different alleyways of how to expand the brand, I do hope that that same kind of focus will keep being shown in the game. And because because I think the game's its backbone, right? It's where it's been loved. And much as I am very excited for the movies, I am really hoping that the game, as we were saying earlier, gets these Unreal Engine upgrades. They keep working on it, and hopefully in a year's we can look back at this where we've been talking, and hopefully the game is in a completely different place. Which, by the way, I don't think it's a bad place. I just think it has lots of room for improvement.
Which is great. We love the game so much. And, we've spent an hour and a half talking about how it's such a big part of our life and how we have so many fond memories of it. And it has so much room to improve. So in 2050, when we have our 26th year anniversary podcast and we're all like in virtual reality deep dive, crazy style playing Arc 7, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows where we're gonna be in that time? and hopefully we can look back at this and have a laugh at how things have changed, and hopefully it's for the best. I really do hope, because I mean, as I said to you guys, I don't want to stop this. I want to keep this going. I have so much fun, and as I said to you, I am expanding to other games, but I just hope that I can always do Ark, because it's just, as you know, holds such a close place in my heart, and I just love it. I just don't want it to go anywhere, and hopefully they make the right decisions.
Yeah, and I hope they, like you said, hope they can make those right decisions. I'm definitely looking forward to a little more communication, hoping they can keep that up. You know, Dolly does always try to keep us informed, so that's nice. But you know, as the podcast comes to an end, man, I truly just again want to thank you. You know, spending your time, especially 2 a.m. your time, spending time with us. You know, answering our millions of questions. And you know, just kind of expanding on those questions, different things like that. Truly, just appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no worries at all. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have got, you know, planned, as you announced earlier with Neddy, and you know, I really believe that you guys keep going, keep consistent, and hopefully we can talk on a future pod when things are changed, and as we're saying, hopefully for the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, and while we're still here, going back to it, Graham looked it up for us. Vin Diesel is the president of Creative Convergence at Studio Wildcard.
There we go. That's
so.
I'm just gonna say whatever that means. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the word creative, I think, we'll just take from that and say that he's gonna be in charge of the creative side of it. Say that.
Yeah, he's doing some creative stuff. That's pretty nifty. So, shout out to, we had, let's see, let me scrolly poly because we had one person leave earlier. Who was it that left? Tornado Shard? We had 44 Tornado Shard in here. We had Exodia in here. Graham Dozer. I appreciate all you guys listening live. That's awesome. Our audience is getting bigger and bigger every week.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening, for joining us live. You know, every Monday, 9 p.m., maybe 9:08 if Matt, you know, whatever, 9:08 sometimes for Matt.
That kid's got a black belt in fighting sleep. I'm sorry.
But again, appreciate you guys all listening. If you're listening when this comes out, it should be out on Tuesdays. But every Monday, 9 p.m. is when we'll be live on the podcast. You guys can join. We'd appreciate that. You guys can ask questions if we got somebody to interview, or even if it's just us, you can ask questions. But overall, if you made it to the end of this episode, thank you guys so much, and we appreciate you. And Dom, do you want to, like, you know, promote your own channel? We're also going to put your stuff down in the bottom, but is there anything else you want to say about Extra Life or anything like that before we go?
Yeah, so I will be streaming for 24 hours for Extra Life, trying to raise some money. It's just for a great cause. We do it every single year. It's helped, obviously, to help children in need. And it's such a great thing that we can do every year. We manage to raise such an amazing amount of money, and not only do you guys get to come along and find out some amazing reveals for upcoming content, and there's boosted rates on official servers, but, you know, overall being able to raise money for people that need it most is amazing. So if anyone fancies coming to join me, it'll be November 2nd. That will be I will be starting at 4 p.m. UK time. If anyone's around and wants to come and join me, please do.
You heard it here, folks. That sounds like a good time, man. I know I will be tuning in at some point throughout the day, so I will see you there, my man.
Thank you so much.
Survivors, keep on surviving and have a great week.
Yeah, have a good week. See you, folks.